Alright, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Chupacabra's Lair. I'm your host, Larry. I definitely didn't almost say Chupacabra tutorial channel there. Just kind of a habit lately, since that's where I've been making most of my videos for the last few years. But we're back for some more Subnautica, or as I used to refer to it, Dolphin Fondling Simulator. Doing that playthrough that I've been promising to finish up for a couple of years now. So we're just gonna play on a normal survival, and we're gonna try to get all the way to the end and get off this planet at the very end. I tried to do this playthrough like 2-ish years ago, maybe like a year and a half ago, because I had some weird graphical glitches that kept like messing up the video when I was recording it, and I never really did figure out why, so I ended up just waiting, and then I forgot. So now here we are. Alright, so we're on an expedition, right? We're supposed to go to an alien planet that was supposed to be mostly aquatic. But, well, as it would happen, on our way out here, something happened, and, well, that was our colony ship, and as you can see, don't think we're gonna get the deposit back anytime soon on that bad boy. But hey, good news, we got a life pod that was made by the lowest bidder, apparently, and yeah, well, I mean, concussions and brain damage are fine. I'm sure that's covered by the company health plan. But now I've got to prevent myself from burning to death. On the plus side, at least the fire extinguisher is not in the fire, or on fire itself. Both of these things would probably be a problem. So we'll just go ahead and put this out. It makes it sound like you're gonna die, but you can literally still just sit here AFK in the smoke, and it's fine. No one will even know. Kick on the old company PDA.
You have suffered minor head trauma. This is considered an optimal outcome. This PDA has now rebooted in emergency mode with one directive: to keep you alive on an alien world. Please refer to the databank for detailed survival advice. Good luck.
Okay, so this is our PDA. It has things like our blueprints in it to help us build stuff. It also tells you sort of an idea of stuff that we don't know how to build because this PDA is cheap and doesn't contain all of the necessary survival information. Beacons that are like nodes of points of interest are here. If we take photos, they'll be here. Voice logs, all that good stuff. But for right now, I want to fix the pod, so we need to fabricate a repair tool, which is going to require silicone rubber, some cave sulfur, and some titanium, and I'm also going to want to stab things, so I'll also need a knife. You're not really supposed to kill things in this game outside of like the small animals that you eat, but we're probably going to rodeo kill some of the larger creatures in this game just because I can, and I have this desire to kill things.
Cause unknown. 0 human life signs detected.
Where did we spawn? Are the spawn points still random? We're kind of near the butt end of the Aurora. If they are random, I keep spawning here when I've been playing lately. It used to be you could spawn all along that direction, along the side of the Aurora, at different spawn points in the shallows. We just don't want to accidentally build underneath of the Aurora. I've made that mistake in the past. You'll see why in a little bit. So I need food, which means I'm gonna homicide some random delicious animals, like this peeper here. Jeepers creepers, where'd you get those peepers? Jeepers creepers, where'd you get those eyes?
Forms may have unexpected applications. Utilizing alien resources is a proven survival strategy. New creature discovered.
So basically, we can just take these random animals back to our ship. Well, our life pod, it's not really a ship. And it'll process them into delicious edible things for us, which is what I want. And there's a couple different ways that we have of getting, like, raw metal. One of the ways is taking giant chunks of metal from the expensive trillion-dollar spacecraft and crunching them up into pieces. And the other way is we can go over to, like, random rocky outcroppings, and then you see these little nodules, you can just smash them open and pick up what falls out of them, and then that's, like, titanium or copper.
Is an essential component of all powered equipment. Your probability of survival has just increased to unlikely, but plausible.
And then, we need to get silicone rubber, and I think that's made, if I remember right, we've got the kelp over here. So that's going to require us to go get a couple of seed pods of the kelp in order to do that. I'm just going to keep an eye on my oxygen, and we're going to poke our head over here. The seed pods for the kelp are super easy to identify. They glow. And one of the things I absolutely love about Subnautica, one of the things that has always kept me playing, is I'm a sucker for decorative glowy things in real life. And in the game, I also like decorative glowy things. So, this game is full of glowy stuff because it's underwater coral reefs. I'm gonna leave the water looking ugly as sin, and chunky.
In unusually distinct and diverse ecological biomes. Further study recommended.
I'm gonna leave the water looking chunky and geometric like this and not particularly realistic because, again, still paranoid that the recording will mess up. I don't know why. I used to for years on an even worse machine than this, like, record full quality without any problem whatsoever. But for some reason lately it's just been an issue. So, there you have it. Oh, that's right, I need cave sulfur, don't I? I forgot. My favorite. You'll see why. So, normally sulfur is like a thing you get from sulfuric vents and stuff, right? Well, in this game, there's everyone's favorite starter fish. And you'll see it immediately what I'm talking about is what is going to give us that delectable cave sulfur. It's a very, intense experience, one might say explosive, with bone shrapnel in my spleen and possibly ass. So there you have it. Somewhere near us-ish. Oh, here we go, here's a cave. Here's a cave that's gonna be filled with my eternal regret. So, you'll hear him in a sec here. Once we get into the right section of said cave. Unless I picked the one cave without a crash fish in it. Oh, I hear him. That loud squealy noise was one of them. They come out of these little, that thing. That boy, he explodes. So that's a crash fish. They defend their nest by literally detonating their whole body. And that's where you get cave sulfur from. Yeah, not my favorite, but not a super big issue now. It will be later, as we need more of it. Our pod is like in a really weird place. I like him in the middle, but I never get the middle spawns for the pods anymore, if that's even a thing. So we've got basically some of our starting materials. We'll have to build a lot more stuff as we rebuild all of our tools. But good news is we got a Star Trek 3D replicator, so it don't really matter. We'll make food in a sec, too. First I need to make some rubber. Well, I guess I only needed, like, one seed pod, but we'll just make up all of the seed pods into rubber. Might as well. They store forever. It's literally a toxic, outgassing material that poisons whatever planet we put it on. Yeah, we got rubber for days. So I only need 2 of them, so that's fine. And then before I break something, let's hit the save button. And then I'll make some water. Those air sac fish, you can force water through them to filter it of microbes and other sketchy things. And then we'll cook up some peepers. Jeepers, creepers.
Small organisms while disposing of the skeletal structure, bodily fluids. and internal organs, thus rendering them safe for human consumption.
So yeah, this thing just grills them up real nice for you, removes the guts. So it's just all the delicious meaty bits. It's great. What's not to love? So first we'll make one of these repair lasers. This will be following us through the whole game. And then I need to get some raw titanium from these pieces of debris. And those I will use to make a knife. I don't really need that much titanium, but you always need titanium in this game for literally everything.
Standard survival blueprints following the massacre on Abraxas Prime. The knife remains the only exception. New blueprint acquired.
So basically, I just did some massive upgrades to our self. That included things like getting together a knife, which I will slot number 1. I'll slot repair thing number 2. I don't really need the fire extinguisher right now, so that can just be wherever. I also am going to need a scanner so that we can start scanning all the local wildlife. And, oh, I can already upgrade to my higher capacity O2 tank. I could make some swim fins. In fact, let's do that. It's good that we have some extra rubber. Swim fins are going to be nice because they obviously make you faster underwater. Although in real life, going from not ever using swim fins...
Available data to provide environment-appropriate equipment using locally available materials. For your safety, this setting cannot be overridden.
But yeah, so like... in real life, swim fins are like way more difficult to use than you think. They take a lot of foot and ankle and leg strength to really make full use of them. So we're going to get quite a workout. I wanted to make a scanner, which requires a battery. So we need more... well, we have copper and titanium. But what we need is acid to make the battery, and what has acid in it? Acid mushrooms. Everyone's favorite. Delectable. Wouldn't recommend eating necessarily, but you know. Other thing that's kind of worth noting is if you're really hungry and you have trouble catching the fish, they're easier to catch at night. It's just kind of like one of the homicidal fun facts of Subnautica. Eat things at night, they won't run away so good. I think I already have 1 piece of copper. I think that's enough for like the first battery that we need. But you can see why this game is really nice at night. Like, it's pretty full, everything's glowy. Guess we never did fix this, did we? Probably should do that.
Lifepod secondary systems online. Running full environment diagnostic and outputting results to databank.
I could fix the radio right now. I almost don't want to. The radio makes making a playthrough and like pacing everything to tell the story really difficult, but we could in a sec. First I'm gonna make a battery though. So the way that the story kind of progresses in this game is via messages sent from this. It tells you where all like the damaged life pods are from the rest of the crew of that ship. And as you may or may not know, this ship holds a lot of people, and they're pretty much all dead now. Also, we're the janitor, in case you didn't know that. We're like the sanitation systems expert. We're like the boss janitor. And so we've just been yeeted onto this planet to die, basically. Nothing too crazy. So let's fix you.
This is Aurora. Distress signal received. Rescue operation will be dispatched to your location in 9 hours. Continue to monitor for emergency transmissions from other life pods.
Okay, we're gonna make our little scanny majig.
Used to synthesize blueprints from salvage technology and to record alien biological data, detecting increased local radiation levels. Trend is consistent with damage to the Aurora's drive core sustained during planet fall.
Okay, so what that was trying to tell us right there was that there's a couple things going on. A, there's a lot of other life pods like this. You might notice you don't see any of them. It's convenient that you notice that. That'll come up later. But this thing travels through space through warp gates. In pretty much every universe where there is a warp drive, having that thing explode and leak into the environment tends to be a dick move. So we'll have to deal with that eventually. In the meantime, we got a new scanner, and this is what's going to allow us to unlock blueprints from broken stuff underwater. And we can also go, like, scan this rabbit fish. This rabbit ray, and unlock info about it. And then we can, after a little while, I'll, like, read all of the little biological snippets of them in, like, a big lore dump video. You can pretty much scan just about anything in this game, because we are a part of, like, a crew of people that we're going to go to another system. And our whole objective, and I don't feel like this is spoiling anything, because this is something that our character would know from the beginning. We were literally on this ship going somewhere. It was public knowledge what we were doing. We do it for a living. We were going to go to an alien world, and we were going to, A, set up a base of operations on that world, and we were going to expand the warp gate network for our company. This is one of those futures where everybody works for somebody, and we're trying to, like, get a leg up on the competition. Nation states are made up of, like, massive mega corporations that own entire space systems. Everything is very corporate and, like, legally run. So what I want to do right now is, you know when you're swimming around in real life, in, like, those cool National Geographic shows, you're watching those programs, and they get around faster with one of those little tow behinds, where they, like, have, like, a sea glider that drags them around faster. It's got a little underwater propeller and everything. We're gonna build that, and it is called a Sea Glide, so that's our current objective. So we're gonna try to find some broken boxes that contain various parts of various machines, some of which are sometimes harder to find than others. It just kind of depends. And while we do that, we're gonna scan everything, because that's just what we do. We're gonna catalog everything. On one hand, you're probably like, oh yeah, we're cool future explorers. More like our company would love to exploit any perceived value of any animal or creature that we encounter. So if we could denude a planet of, like, these boomerang fish because it would, like, give, like, sweet hair gel to people, we absolutely would do that. Super duper not ethical at all. This is which is weird that this is, like, such an unethical, like, future run by mega corporations when they're, like, really not about letting people have weapons to kill each other. But I guess after a few massacres, they're like, nah, let's not.
New blueprint acquired.
So this is where it kind of teaches you how to synthesize new things by, like, getting new materials, and then the computer analyzes those materials and goes, we could turn this into a thing. And then you're like, cool, we'll do that. So I'm just kind of dinking around right now as I wait for story mission things to happen. This just means upgrading, looking for those broken up pieces, and trying not to get eaten by anything. For the most part, until much later, there's not really a lot of stuff that'll really hurt you. Like, most of the stuff is just small stuff, like these Gary fish. Yes, that is a reference to SpongeBob. There's also, like, these manatee-looking boys, the gasopods. And they mostly just don't want you to fuck with them, which is why they emit these poisonous gas balls that we can use to make deadly weapons later. And there's, like, those crash fish, which just don't want you to mess with their eggs, so don't worry about it. Just don't touch them and they won't touch you, kind of a deal. There's a few things like the stalkers that live in these little kelp forests that are dangerous. But they pretty much are slow, and they'll nibble your tushy. Okay, so we got part of the vehicle bay unlocked now. That lets us build larger vehicles. super duper handy. If you get deep enough, you'll find these little brain coral, and they emit air, which will allow you to stay underwater longer until you get better equipment. For the most part, later on, the big upgrades are just using your vehicles, especially my boy the Sea Moth, as underwater portable oxygen supplies, which is like 90% of what I use them for. And getting around. I mean, it's basically the Ferrari of the ocean. But as long as you're mindful of your oxygen gauge, because I remember back when this game first was in early access, they didn't have an interface yet. They just had like the voice tell you what percentage your oxygen was at, so if you didn't pay attention, you were gonna die. As long as none of that stuff happens, you're pretty much fine. Like, it's a pretty forgiving game at the start. Later, you actually have to pay attention, but it's fine. And this is definitely one of those games that's a fantastic example of using real-life creatures and animals as inspiration for the design of your game. Because in here, they've got all these different creatures that are based off of something in real life. Either, like, electric eels, squids, crabs, or some combination therein. It's great. I love this game. It's one of my favorites. Well, actually, I think right now it is, like, my favorite game ever. So I just picked up an alien egg, and you can do a few things with these. For the most part, I'm just gonna throw it out after I'm done talking about it right now. But later in the game, because this is kind of a scientific exploration game, you can get these different eggs and you can hatch them to figure out what they are. Or you can just do like everybody else, and you can just go online and it'll tell you. For the most part, the biome you find these in will tell you what they are. These greenish ones, I'm pretty sure, are a stalker egg. And then, like, you can have a miniaturized version of these in an aquarium in your base later. It's actually kind of neat. Let's scan this bad boy, these hoverfish. Delicious, these hoverfish. I might have actually gone too deep for what... Hi. No, there'll be no biting me, Stocky. No, no biting. No, I said no. Bad Stocky. I'm gonna scan you, though. Gonna get my only fish account going.
30 seconds.
Oh, there you go. So that's the machine telling me you got 30 seconds to go get some oxygen. Maybe you should do that. Now we're gonna start an OnlyFins account, put all these delicious fish up on there, all these scans that we're taking. It's gonna be great. Gonna be the marketing influencer of the future. So I think I went too far out of the shallows to get the sea glide scans. I think I'm getting a little ahead of myself. So we're just gonna go back here and we're gonna look for chunks of the sea glide, because I definitely don't immediately need the vehicle bay, but I probably will just go straight to that because it's just so convenient. So it's kind of funny how I ended up finding a lot of the games that I do really legitimately enjoy. Because originally, some of the games that I played, I was kind of in this mode when I first started doing the gaming channel that I've always got to find the latest, greatest game. And I've got to play the shit out of it, and then I've got to put it up immediately, which was kind of an oxymoron considering my internet sucked for the longest time. Here's my first Sea Glide fragment. I need 2 of those. And then I gotta do them to death to make sure, like, you've got good content for a gaming channel, because that's what everyone does, right? They do the latest, greatest content, they try to, like, make it funny, or they try to make it informative, and then they just kind of spam it out there. But the problem is that everybody does that, so you kind of have to just set yourself apart by just kind of chilling out, having a good time, and just enjoying the games that you want to play. And I definitely picked this game up because it was really popular in early access, and I figured that would be great for viewing, which it is, but at the same time, I really don't care anymore. Like, I legitimately just like recording this game because it's really, really fun, and that's the reason that I kept playing it for so many years. Through all of the weird, janky updates, the broken physics system, falling through the ocean and breaking your ankles on the bottom levels of the underwater areas.
Receiving pre-recorded distress call, laying back.
This is Lifepod 3, uploading our coordinates. We're plugging some holes in our emergency sea glide, so if we're late for the rendezvous, don't panic. Also, don't go home without us. Seriously. 3 out.
Signal location uploaded to PDA.
Okay, so here's what I need to make this. I've got the titanium. I need to make some lube. We might be able to find like a non-reactive organic version that we can sell at weird, creepy sex shops back home. To make some money, we got some copper wire, and we need to get another battery. So that's not a terrible grocery list, admittedly. Let's just have a snack of the stuff that I cooked, including accidentally cooking one of those fish. Oh, and I guess I can turn this rotting creep vine into some fiber mesh. So normally you could eat creep vine, but I've never really liked using that as a food source. It's kind of terrible. But you could. I think there's a limit to how much certain foods you can eat in a row, though, before it hurts you. We've also got some salt that we could turn into bleach. Is that how you make bleach in real life? I don't actually know. We could make bleach, and then that would be like a way to like filter water and make really big bottles of water. But like 90% of people just see these bladderfish floating around literally everywhere in the starter area, so why not just denude the environment and use their organs to filter thousands of gallons of water necessary to keep our human flesh alive. So we're gonna do that because I can, and because all these fish are delicious. We can also keep a few of them as pets later. So I'll grab you. I'm just trying to think of like what would a guy whose entire career as a sanitations expert, like what would they think about being in this situation? Certainly they're probably used to getting their hands dirty because they literally do that for work. But like, what is your perspective on this? Is this kind of like Star Trek where everyone's got like a scientific streak a mile wide, where everything is simultaneously fascinating and a good profit maker? There's got to be some cross point between those two things. Because this is kind of like a weird, almost otherworldly, dystopian future where mega corporations run literally everything, but at the same time, like, playing the second game that comes after this with lots more voice acting involved than just the computer, you get a sense that, like, there is a lot of scientific development going on. Everyone is definitely very scientifically minded, even the kids. And everyone definitely defaults to thinking, like, oh, this is fascinating, we should research more. But then at the same time, they're, like, completely fine with, let's just murder another planet and use, like, the skin of all the animals there to make a ship that can, like, warp to the next quadrant. Oh, there's a crash fish at the bottom of that hole. You know what? I'm fine with that. We'll just go down here. We'll scan the sulfur plant, which is what the crash fish live in.
30 seconds.
So yeah, I mean, I'm always kind of interested in the universe, and I have a feeling the company that makes this game, given what they've been making to date, they're probably going to keep exploring planets in this universe, or at least I hope that they do. That would certainly be the best case scenario. I'm looking for outcroppings to get copper from, but I feel like I'm either not seeing them or I'm just like obliviously going to like the one node that doesn't have any. There's sandstone. This should have what I want. Yep, there's some... Wait, what was that? That was gold. Oh, well, not really what I was going for, but I'll take it. The fact that we're scrounging raw materials from this planet is also going to come back to bite us in the ass in a little bit. It'll be funny, though. You'll see what I mean. Also, keep an eye out for some of these peepers. You'll see that as they swim around, they leave like a con trail behind them. But sometimes that con trail is glowy. And that's going to come into play a little bit later. Okay, I just need, like, some mineral outcroppings. That's all I want for Christmas. Also not to explode Crashfish. Oh, but I got a scan off on him. That's pretty good. Where did you come from? Where... Is there a cave in here? I don't see one. Man, I could also try playing this game in VR and see if it still makes me want to barf. The VR for this, I don't know if it ever got finished. It was definitely a side project that they did just for funsies because VR started becoming a massive thing when this game was in development. So, I just need copper. That's all I want for Christmas is, like, some copper bars. Although, I think copper's actually worth more right now than gold. There's some copper. Well, since we're in here, in this tube where there's a shit ton of these limestone chunks, let's just load up. We're also going to end up needing a lot of quartz, because that's what we use to make glass. Something I didn't realize until much later in life is that my own home state of Colorado, one of our primary mineral exports, is actually big-ass chunks of quartz. Like, really clear quartz, some kind of, like, off-blue quartz. And quartz is really expensive in, like, really refined, pure form that isn't, like, all messed up. Today I learned. Well, the other day I learned. Learned at some point. The good news is it's very relaxing to look at the firelight of the Aurora being on fire. That should be my Yule log for next year. Just turn on the HD graphics and then just hover in creative mode behind one of the burning fires behind the Aurora. Set the time to night and just record the ship on fire. We'll go ahead and scan the seeds because I haven't done that yet. And we'll make lots of lube, because you never know when you need to lube things up. Things get dry after you've been in, like, briny water all day. To some extent, the same chemicals used to make, like, real-world lube are also used to make, like, lotions. Because all lotion is, like, an attempt to get you to absorb water through your skin and then hold it in your skin so it doesn't, like, dry your skin out and evaporate out into the world again. Okay. So the first thing I need to do is I'm gonna make the lube.
Lubricant is essential in construction of vehicles and power plants.
Oh yeah, we can make like really cool bases with like a bunch of power and stuff later, so that'll be neat. Oh, I forgot to get battery acid. You'd think you could turn the acid into like a weapon to defend yourself from the alien fish, but the game really doesn't want you to homicide them. In fact, there's like a whole interview with the developers about like trying to be different.
Continued degradation of the Aurora's drive core may result in a quantum detonation. Continuing to monitor.
There we go, now we have a Sea Glide. Love these things. This is gonna make our lives a million times easier.
The Sea Glide will increase your effective exploration range. For your safety, please pack supplies for long journeys and stay within 5 kilometers of the nearest life pod or habitat.
So the developers were talking about like what are they going to do to really set this game apart, because at the time you've got a lot of other games that like go to alien planets, shoot the life forms that are there, where it's just the standard thing of like humanity conquering literally everything in sight. And I really did like the idea that they had. It was just like, well, the fauna is really just trying to live. Like they don't care that you're crash landing on this planet. They just eat anything.
Accustomed to synthetic foods to be repulsed by eating an animal carcass. Remember that humans survived this way for millennia. You can too. Consider disguising the flavor of unsavory meat with salt or locally sourced herbs and spices.
So instead of just doing the standard, they just decided that they would make a lot of the weapons and utility tools in this game be non-lethal. So you get things like stasis rifles and stuff like that. So I mean, I think it's cool. You definitely don't need to kill everything immediately. At the same time, I also appreciate that the first thing that you read about any creature in the game, no matter how big they are, the community has literally held it in stasis and stabbed it to death using the in-game tools, just to see how much it would really take to kill literally everything. Morbid, yes. Funny, absolutely. So that's where we're at. Hope you enjoy. Let's see, I'll put this on my number 4. So as you can see, this really speeds things up, and as I leave the pod, of course, that's when the radio decides to kick off and tell me to come back and listen.
Plan pre-recorded distress call.
This is Ozzy from the cafeteria. What the hell, guys? They didn't warn us this might happen. Our pod was almost crushed by this Seamoth Bay on the way down. Now we're hanging on the edge of a cave system, and this grim-looking snake thing's trying to eat through the hull. Come get us already.
Signal location uploaded to PDA.
Okay, so that's like one of our first like pods that we can go locate. We can turn the marker off whenever. It is a little bit further away from where we're going, but we need to be over here anyway, so we'll go check it out. So I mean, I just think it's interesting. Future without, you know, murdering the shit out of everything. Probably for the best, even though technically they do kind of do that. And welcome everybody to the first bloodgrass field, or what is supposed to be known as the grassy plateau, but it's all red, and everyone just calls it the bloodgrass. It's just kind of what it's always been called by the community before it had an official name.
Nearby cave entrance, depth 90 meters, leading to an unknown environmental biome.
So basically, this is where we'll find a lot of important materials. We'll find a lot of scannable stuff.
Short-range scans suggest this biome supports extensive biodiversity and connects to a number of small cave networks. Integrating new PDA data.
But yeah, so there's like a lot of stuff that you'll get here, a lot of story information from pods. There's a few like crashed life pods. There's a way to another area down there that we'll get to later. Mostly just because it's super deep and it's hard to get in and out of there without dying until we've got this thing, a Seamoth, which is like a personal vehicle that we can use to get around. And there's a few other goodies around here as well. So the first thing is like below like 100 meters, it's hard to breathe because, well, that's just how it is in real life too. I forget what the science is behind that. I looked it up once. But each one of these pods, they've got like PDAs in them. They also oftentimes have like blueprints in them as well that you'll need to unlock more stuff in the game. Because oddly enough, like, we have a company PDA, but I guess they just don't have all of the information on all of the PDAs, because why would the janitor need to know how to make a battle suit for going into deep sea areas? So we're just going to explore around here a bit, and we're looking for is silver. Lead will also do. You'll also start to notice as we get further on that there's these big deposits that we need large machinery in order to do stuff with. There's sand sharks, which are these flat-bodied sharks that swim around in the dirt. In fact, we could scan you if you're going to be a good sand shark. I love that the naming conventions for this game tend to be pretty straightforward. Like, it's a shark with like a shark fin on its head that hangs out in the sand. Ergo, it's a sand shark. And I think the devs named a lot of the different creatures in this game, but I also think that they definitely took notes from the naming conventions of the players when deciding, like, what to call these things as well. Also, there's something wrong with this sand shark. It's covered in these green boils. How weird. Oh, there's a weird infection going around.
Data.
Wonder what that's about.
Silver-based wiring kits are an essential component of many habitat modules.
So, there's definitely some mysteries as to why we crash landed on this planet. We were originally in our ship, the whole plan was we were going to slingshot around this planet, and we were going to use that to shoot us through the system into the next system, which is where we were going to, like, build our base and start setting up another warp gate so that we could expand Altera's influence in the area and charge exorbitant fees to other companies to use our warp gates. That's kind of like the whole objective here. So we got sent in a state-of-the-art crew to go do that with, like, special water equipment because the world we were going to end up on, conveniently, was going to be mostly underwater. But then something happened and our ship exploded a little bit, and we ended up here. Weird. Hey, no one needs your sass, Mr. Sharkman. Not today, sir. Not today. So this is actually going to be a bit of a different way of me doing a playthrough. I'm going to do a nice big long video. For one reason, I have Starlink now, and I can upload really easily anything that I want, which is the most convenient thing. I have never in my life before, now, at home, had the ability to download like an 80 gig game in like an hour. Usually, it like, you know, I could download a gig an hour on my old internet, shitty DSL from CenturyLink, and that was on a good day. So, like, if people wanted to play games with me, the requirement was you had to let me know, because I have to pre-download it. This wasn't just, like, a thing you could decide to do, and like, oh yeah, we'll just game with Larry, and then, like, 5 minutes later be in, like, GTA with me. Wasn't a thing. You had to tell me, like, up to days in advance for me to prepare. So it's a whole heck of a lot more convenient now that I don't have to do that. I can literally on the spur of a moment, someone can be like, hey, we're gonna play Left 4 Dead in like 30 minutes. Are you cool with that? I'm like, sure, it's already downloading. And then it will be done in like 15 minutes because those are smaller games. That was also part of the, oh yeah, these are reefbacks. You like these bad boys? These are the whales of Subnautica. These are not animals, they are gigantic plants. Used to be that you could find eggs for these bad boys. You still might be able to. They disabled them briefly because they would lag the game out if you released too many of them into the environment. You could have like an army of reefbacks just chilling out, which was actually really funny. And on top of them, you can find different plants, which is important for, like, say, trying to make your own garden, because you can grow pretty much any of these plants. You can, like, stab them and get seeds. You can also just lazily, like, scan them to find them. They're basically portable living gardens. And that sentence actually influences, the design of some later creatures when we play the sequel to this game later, which I've also played through. Haven't played the full release version, but I have played the almost full release version to its entirety.
Passing 100 meters.
So I'm just kind of grabbing materials right now, because you need a lot of like silver and you need a lot of lead for something that hasn't really happened yet. Yeah. That's just the constant of this game, is getting materials to build better stuff to eventually, hopefully, get off this cursed rock.
30 seconds.
Also, these laser cutters are going to be super helpful in letting us get access to, like, sealed, damaged compartments later. Some of the debris that has landed on the bottom of the ocean has a door. And funny thing about metal doors, when you slam them into a planet going terminal velocity, they tend to get stuck. And we're going to cut them open, because we can. And then bioreactors are going to be super important for, well, I guess we already have it unlocked, but going to be super important for powering our base later, because yes, we do get to build our own little underwater house. which will then allow us to build cool, crazy contraptions and explore deeper in this game. And to not have to go all the way back to base or to the life pod constantly to explore. One of the features that they actually used to have in this game, which I still kind of miss, but I fully understand why it got cut, was they had the ability to terraform the environment.
30 seconds.
Which is just a nice way of saying, like, if you built a building somewhere, it would just excavate wherever it intersected with the ground too much. I did the adult thing and at one point made a giant garden around my base of cock totems and vagina-like caves, which was a good fun afternoon. But it obviously making the game modular like that so that you could terraform anywhere made the game super duper laggy.
100 meters.
Oh hell yeah, I want a vending machine.
Speed decreased.
You're absolutely scanning the vending machine. Also, one of these debris trails has...
Blueprint acquired. 30 seconds.
It's got a coffee machine, which is the most important thing in this entire game, and we are going to find it, or else there will be no progression. I suppose,
Oxygen.
with the concern of oxygen, the question is what happens when you die in this game? And the short answer is not that bad of a thing. If like a creature eats you in one bite later, you'll just wake up in your base, or you'll like go gasping for air in your base, and you just respawn, and the game saves whatever was in your inventory the last time you exited a base. So like, you'll lose stuff, but you won't lose all of your stuff. Here's a good example of like why we need the laser cutter to get into the sealed door. And thank God it's not a walrus door. Can't get those open to save my life. Just the seal doors.
30 seconds.
Still looking for like another laser cutter fragment, but if we don't find that immediately, it's not the end of the world. The green pustules on that other alien creature, on the other hand, that might be more of a end of the world scenario, but we'll get to that later.
Oxygen.
I think we have enough silver, and possibly enough lead for way later. Oh, we're about to die. So as you start to suffocate, the world gets dark around you. You tend to have a couple extra seconds, kind of like the dumb light on your car's fuel tank gauge, before you fully die. So you can usually get to the surface. Just don't push your luck. I've definitely seen certain individuals who I know will eventually watch this video who have definitely pushed the envelope a little too far and died on several occasions, which resulted in some teasing.
Passing 100.
Because when you die of something silly in any game, your friends always gotta tease you a little bit on that. It's kind of the rule. I don't make the rules all the time. I just, you know, I follow them. You know, that's just what's gonna have to happen. So the next thing I'm gonna try to do, probably in the next episode, we're running on like 50 minutes right now. If I look at my recording, it'll be roughly nearly hour-long episodes for these. Yeah. Plus or minus like some editing where like I remove like the load screen as Subnautica loads the universe in for the first time. I literally just need one more fragment of a laser cutter, and it's just like not gonna give it to me. It's gonna give me a propulsion cannon though, apparently.
30 seconds.
That's like a thing in this game too, like needing that one last scan of a tool and just not finding it because you're like really trying maybe a little too hard to find it, and then the game is just like, nah, it's not gonna happen. You've passed like the one box that had it in it and you just didn't notice because you're trying too hard to like see where all the boxes are hiding. Oh, I'm gonna die. Well, that's not good. No, the darkness is closing in around me. It's fine. I would only lose all of the important, precious silver that I'd gained if I died. I can't remember if all your stuff stays where you died or not. I think some of it does. Just floating in the air. Probably something you want to like, oh, here it is. This is what I want. The last laser cutter fragment. It tells you if you still need it when it, like, you hover over it and, like, the icon to, like, scan pops up.
Acquired.
Okay, so let's get back to base. There are some other cool things, by the way, to the Sea Moth, or the Sea Glide. One of them is you can, like, scan the terrain around you. This used to be a feature that you had to upgrade to get, and before that it was a feature that was only available on certain vehicles. But you can also use it here, and it kind of tells you like a 3D rendering of what's around you.
You have exceeded your weekly exercise quotient by 500.
And there's also a flashlight, but I leave them off.
But swimming was your favorite activity. Be sure to vary your routine for uniform muscle development.
But yeah, normally I leave it off because it sucks the battery down on that machine, and always having to carry 50 batteries around until you get a device to make batteries later is a pain in the ass, so we're just not going to do that. What was I gonna build? I don't even remember. I need like computer parts and stuff to build the base builder, which is this laser thing down here. So I need a battery. Do I have what it takes to make a battery? I do. Oh, I didn't want to make that, but that's fine. That's just an outdoor storage. That was the wrong button. Oh, I need that. I need a wiring kit and a computer chip. So I need wiring kit. That's what the silver is for. And then for the computer chip, I need copper wire. And then I also need table coral, which I will go stab. Table coral is just any old red coral, which grows like over here. Usually denoted by diabolic red glowy bits. I wouldn't necessarily save up too many chunks of this, just because you don't need them as often as other materials, but you do need them. So with that, we can make our base build-a-majig. After I use that to make a silicon chip. And then that would allow us to make this. And this is what's going to be like our portable 3D laser printer.
Designed to construct habitats capable of withstanding extreme environmental conditions.
So we'll do that stuff next time because I need to go take care of some stuff outdoors. It's the evening time. I mean, means I gotta go outside and feed the horses. It's been about 53-ish minutes, just underneath of an hour. So I hope you guys have been enjoying this so far. I'm going to try to not like rush it, but like
local radiation readings
reasonably.
Drive core has reached critical state. Quantum detonation will occur within 2 hours.
Okay, so in a few minutes it'll explode. Maybe I'll wait for that to happen before I get off. But yeah, I'm gonna mostly try to play through this game at a reasonable pace so we can kind of see some cool stuff. Explore whatever Easter eggs that I remember and Google. And just have fun with it. Because, I mean, I enjoy this game. I want to share with you guys stuff that I know about this game, the lore of this universe, and the different machines and stuff that we're going to find. And we're not going to talk about the fact that there's a bunch of sky rays, which is their version of birds, hovering over the invisible dome that protects our vehicle from exploding. Although this will allow us to scan them. And we can find out more about the sky ray. So they're just a ray that you can scan. There is some that direction that you can't really see right now in that fog bank that you can hop on top of, and they'll let you fly around. So it'll be pretty cool. Basically, the way that it works in this game is you can stand on them, and you won't fall off of them, and their object will just fly around in a set path. Just be careful jumping off of them. I think the bug is still in the game, or if you fall from too high up in the air, you'll fall through the water and break your legs and die.
This is Avery Quinn of Trading Ship Sunbeam. Aurora, do you read? Over? Nothing but vacuum. These Altera ships. They run low on engine grease, send an SOS, you offer to help, they don't pick up. Aurora, I'm out on the far side of the system. It's gonna take more than a week to reach your position. Do you still need our assistance? Over. I'll try them again tomorrow. Damn charter's gonna have us blowing our credits running errands for Altera. See what the long-range scans pick up in the meantime.
Oh, hey, we might get saved sooner than we realize. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so that was one little message. Okay, so there's a pod over there, which is in the shallows. Let's go check that out while we wait for things to explode. I think we can actually get into this one without building a blowtorch, but I think we need more materials before we can make that, so we might be waiting off on that for a little bit to get the cutting torch. But in the meantime, there's supposed to be a life pod over here. Life pod numero 3. Oh, somebody's already been inside this one and had a snack of the crew. And there's a blueprint for a compass in there, which honestly isn't that useful till later, if it's even useful at all. Most people navigate via the giant ship corpse that's sitting here on the planet's surface. I used to treat the Aurora as north, although north is actually that way. The Aurora is actually facing north. So we've got that stuff, which is pretty cool. I always like to keep a first aid kit on hand because stuff bites you and explodes, and it's good to be able to not die while you're trying to get back to safety, your base, or the vehicle that's keeping you alive. So yeah, there you have it. We're gonna grab a couple of snacks / drinking water. Once you have the Sea Glide, catching animals to turn into fluids, not super difficult anymore. Once you get back into the swing of it, we'll grab some more materials as I'm dinking around. Grab you to eat. I need you for water. Come here. It's worth noting that you don't necessarily have to leave the planet. You can kind of just have fun and dink around and explore and build ridiculous stuff. And I think one of the things that I will do before we leave is I might use some cheats that are available. They've got console commands that are still available in the game, which will allow me to do things like float around and build ridiculous structures. And you can also find, like, time capsules from other people that have abandoned them in the game. So, like, when you leave the game, you can, like, leave a screenshot and a note for other players, and as long as you're logged into the internet, which you probably are via Steam, you can see other people's stuff and, like, what ridiculous shit has been left over in the game when they left. Now, you don't necessarily get to have their structures, but, like, they might have left you, like, their favorite multi-tool or something in the pod when you discover it. Okay, so we need copper wiring and a wiring kit. We can make a compass. That's kind of cool. Make that already. And I'll just eat like 15 animals and drink 30 gallons of water because I'm a crazy man. And then while we're building our base, let's deploy this underwater storage. Now we can, like, go into this waterproof underwater storage and click the lid, and we can store our leftover gunk in there until we need it, which will be nice. Where do we want to build our base? Typically, in the past, I've built it relatively close to where I spawned, the first one anyway. Generally in one of the bloodgrass fields. I have a decent mental map still of the game because I was one of the people that helped edit together the maps that are on the wiki. Although I don't know if the version that I helped edit is still the one that's up. I think there's like a more polished version that you can get, which I really like. It kind of maps out the different biomes, which is really helpful for knowing where stuff is and where to find certain blueprint chunks. Like if you need more Sea Glide fragments. One of the things I should be on the hunt for is there's fragments for a beacon, which will allow me to put up our own beacons to actually remember where the hell I put our base. That's kind of important, so you don't, you know, lose all your stuff. Kind of not important because there's still some weird lighting glitches. Oh, hello. There's a whole fish. There's like a weird lighting glitch in the game where you can see the windows of your base from like the other side of the map, as long as there isn't like a solid object between you and it. So I'm gonna peek around for that. I like building in this little nook here because it's access to the bloodgrass fields, but like there's not as many annoying ass animals that come bite your base. Because if you have animals that are constantly biting your stuff, then you gotta get like equipment to kill them so that they'll stop doing that. The AI of the game can be a little bit derp. Let me just say that. So we'll just grab a few more materials, and then we'll end out after the Aurora has some drive problems. Yeah. I'm also going to look for those beacons. They're probably just going to be in some debris field somewhere. Kind of crunkled up. Probably in the shallows now that I think about it. I have played with friends who couldn't find the beacons before, which was super de-duper deluxe annoying. What is this? Do I need this? I think I still need this. Nope. I guess I have the mobile vehicle bay, which we can build next time. I think we'll just build a Seamoth next time. I don't see any reason to wait. Like, the first time you play this game, it takes you a bit of time to get into it and to kind of figure out your place in the world, which is at the bottom of the food chain. But once you kind of figure that out, you can kind of just skip to the good stuff. The first time I played, I actually didn't realize, because I just didn't find the parts initially. I didn't realize that you're supposed to build the Seamoth, then build the giant submarine. So I built the giant submarine first in the shallows and had to drag it and damage the shit out of it, out of the shallows. Actually, no, I didn't damage it, because that was back when the Cyclops was immortal and couldn't be damaged. But, yeah. That was actually really funny. That's still on, that's on camera, by the way. That's in my old series. Hello, explodey friend. How are you? Exploding, as ever. Good to see, good to see. I'll go ahead and take the sulfur that you were so nice enough to donate to the cause. What I'm looking for now is there's some other giant crash segments that I don't 100% remember their location over this way that might have what I seek. Basically just debris fields of stuff, of crap, is what we want. Because they are going to have the beacon. Possibly. And I have spent so much time in the past looking for these things that used to be like in the starting accoutrements that you got. But if we're ever missing like weird blueprints and it's the end of the game and they're sort of important, there is a command to give you all the blueprints, which I could always use. I just don't like cheating in this game. It's kind of not my objective. Alright, here's one of the debris fields that I was definitely looking for. This will have the grav-sphere. So we've unlocked the grav-sphere now. There's also a bug in the game where you... Well, it's not really a bug, it's just a... Oh, here it is. Boom, beacon. Need 2 scans of that, boy. And then we'll be good. There is... If you get really unlucky, it won't spawn enough of these beacon fragments. Or at least it used to. And you just be without a beacon. Until you, like, hunted them down. Which would be shitty, but... I'm not entirely unprepared for that. But it won't matter, because I've already unlocked both of those things, so we're good. That was, in fact, the same crash site I unlocked it at the last time, so always go to that one. It's like on the ass end of the Aurora. Behind the Aurora is a debris field and a Reaper Leviathan, so you can find good shit over there, you just gotta be careful. And farming in this game for materials isn't that bad, honestly. Like, it sucks at first, but every game that's survival-based sucks at first, so...
This is Life Pod 6. I have a passenger on board. Coordinates attached. We've landed a kilometer from the crash site, but there's radiation in between us and the rendezvous. Request immediate assistance. 6 out.
Signal coordinates corrupted. Approximate transmission origin recorded to data bank.
Oh. Something's happening in the Aurora.
Quantum detonation has occurred in the Aurora's drive core. The reactor will reach a supercritical state in T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
You ever feel like maybe you shouldn't be watching something because you're being sprayed with isotonium radioactive components from a futuristic sci-fi spaceship? Like, you might want to have kids later in life? Me neither. So anyway, we can now...
The radiation suit has been added to your blueprint database.
We can now go and fix that, so that it doesn't spew radiation into the environment and kill the whole planet. Admittedly, that would on one hand be bad, and on another hand, it would be okay if we never came back to this planet again because of what's on it. But yeah. So, I don't think we're getting the deposit back for the Aurora, but I mean, it's not really my problem. I'm just the janitor. So yeah, that'll probably be where we roughly leave off for now. What we'll do later is we'll build a radiation suit, which is right here. It just requires the lead that we already have, the fiber mesh that we already have. And then before we go in, I'm going to want to have a few tools like a propulsion cannon. And I'm also going to want to have that cutter ready. The sea moth is going to be a must. And then, yeah. We'll take it from there. I'm gonna also want to like upgrade to a higher capacity O2 tank. Because there's gonna be a lot of shenanigans in there. A lot of stuff murdering my face and so on. So, I hope everyone's enjoyed so far. And hope you enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, or pan-dimensional adventure. I've been your host, Larry. Bye, everybody.